Wat is spawn?
Well, I want to thank you guys for all coming out here for my first show in my new place. Thanks to Little Code True
Let's go.
and Toast for building this place for me. So how about we get this party started? Y'all ready to have a good night? Good. Well, the theme of this show is what a terrible kid I was growing up. And it started early. From the time I was about 2.5, from what my parents tell me, the time I was about 2.5 to 3 years old, I had never spoken a word. And they thought there was something wrong with me. So they thought, we need to take this kid in and get him checked out because for some reason, he's like 2.5 to 3 years old and he still ain't spoken a word. They took me to doctors and they said, we can't find anything wrong with him. I don't know what this kid's deal is. He's not deaf. He hears fine. And then one day, my mom hears my older sister talking to somebody in the kitchen. So she comes around the corner. She walks into the kitchen, and there's my older sister, who's about 5 at the time, going like, now what do you want? And I'm going, oh, I want one of those chocolate chip cookies. And my mom about shit her pants. She come running in the kitchen going, are you kidding me? He's talking? And she goes like, yeah. So how long has he been talking? Forever. But he only talks to me when he wants something to eat. Oh, he should have known right there I was going to be a problem child. Refused to talk to anybody but my older sister to get a cookie or a piece of pie or something like that. Well, anyways, when I was about, I was in kindergarten, so I was about 5 years old, okay?
Hello?
No, I came from a strong German family, okay? And there wasn't a lot of playing going on, especially at the grandparents' house. There was work to be done before you could have fun. And so my grandfather, us kids would go over there, mainly me and my 2 sisters. The small tire places around town, instead of paying for the expensive tire valves made in a manufactured place, they would buy the pieces and then have an employee put them together. But the fact is, it was cheaper just to get somebody to do it on the side. So my grandpa would do that. Us kids would go over there. We would have to sit around the table for hours, take all these little pieces, and make tire stem valves for tires for the damn tire company. And then whatever time was left, we got to go have some fun. Well, one day in kindergarten, I got this idea, and so I snuck out in the parking lot, and I removed all the tire valves from all the tires from all the faculty in the school. And then that next weekend, when he went to go, how did you get up there? And we went to go to Grandpa's house, and we're supposed to be sitting around there putting all these tire valves together, right? Well, I just pull all these tire valves out of my pocket when he ain't looking and go like, hey, we're all done. And my grandpa's like, wait a minute, how in the heck did you guys build all those? You didn't use any of the parts. Well, I don't know, can we go play now? Well, of course, my grandpa calls my mom and goes, he's got like hundreds of tire valves here, and he didn't even build any of them. And my mom's like, son of a... That's what the school was talking to me about. All the tire valves missing out of the tires of their cars. Well, that was when I was 5 years old. Now here's my first Lulu. My first Lulu was when I was 8 years old, and I was in the 3rd grade. Okay. Now back then, all us kids, we took our lunch to school in those old metal, lunch boxes that had the $6 Million Man or whatever the hell was on it and stuff, Superman. Well, anyways, one day I got this great idea in my head. Now, I don't know if any of you know what a cattle prod is, but it's a long metal tube that's got a bunch of D batteries in it, and at the end it's got 2 prongs that you use to shock cattle with. Well, I got this crazy idea one day. I took my metal lunch box, I drilled a couple holes in the side of it, and then I took the cattle prod apart, and then put a couple rubber grommets inside the metal so it wouldn't short out, and then shoved the head of that cattle prod through there, and then I took all the D batteries, folded them up, soldered them to the unit, and then ran a little switch up to the little plastic handle so I could actually go bzz, 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 anytime I wanted to anybody. So in 3rd grade, I go to school, and I got my lunch box. Comes lunchtime, I'm thinking, hey, this is going to be funny. So I just start walking up to people going, and they're dropping like flies. Next thing you know, teachers are advancing on me. They're trying to tackle me, get this damn lunch box away from me. They call the cops. They call my parents. They go, you will not believe what your kid came to school with today. What? A cattle prod hidden inside of a damn lunchbox, and I got to tell you, pretty ingenious, but you need to put a leash on this kid, all right? Because we can't be having this going on. And I got to tell you, see, now I grew up on a farm out in the middle of nowhere in Colorado, so like this little school, they had never seen anything like this before. So
Hello.
Then I remember the time, like I said, this is back in the 60s. I saw one of those old Tarzan movies, I think it was. And they built this tiger trap, right? They dig this big hole, and they put like leaves and sticks on it and stuff. Tiger comes along and falls in it, and for some reason I got the idea in my head, like, you know what, I'm bored today. I'm going to go out back and build me a darn tiger trap. So I go out there, and I dig this big asshole, and I put all the little sticks and leaves, and I'm all proud of myself, patting myself on the back of the head, going like, dude, that's a darn good job. Any tiger comes along here, like there's tigers in Colorado, right? If any tiger comes along here, I'm going to get him. Well, sadly to say, no tigers came along. But my dad's best milking cow did. And that cow fell in that hole, broke a couple legs, and so instead of milking that bugger for the next couple years, we ended up eating him that winter.
No, that's messed up.
Oh, and then there was, now I know a lot of you kids will probably have this assignment. This would happen to me in 6th grade.
Oh, yeah. Now.
you know, the teachers tell you, we want you to build a volcano, and we want you to make it do something like put vinegar and soda or something in it, make it bubble over and everything. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I got a better idea. So you know, back in those days, beer came in like these steel cans, and they were straight and tall. They didn't have lips. And we used to make tennis ball cannons out of them. Now what you would do is you would take a couple of these long cans and you'd cut both ends out, and then you duct tape them together, and then on the bottom can you would take like an old-fashioned can opener and just kind of make a star in it, and then on the bottom of the can you'd make one more little hole, and then you tape that to the bottom, and then you put a tennis ball in there, squirt a little lighter fluid in there, let the fumes build up, and then you would light it on fire, and boom, you could shoot a tennis ball about 100 yards or more with this thing.
Dang, nice.
So when it came to making my volcano, I had a better idea. So what I did was I built a smaller version of a tennis ball cannon. Okay. And then in the bottom of it, what I did was I put a little metal plate, and I took a bunch of gravel, and I laid it on a table, and I painted it all red so it looked like volcanic rock, right? And so I poured all of that red rock into the top of that can, and then I took a little pump which would pump dyed water out to the side so that when I hit the switch, it looked like the volcano was first had lava coming out. All right, okay. I was so proud of this thing. So I get to school. I set mine up there. You have to watch all this boring stuff from the other people. I put mine up there, and then I start oozing the stuff out the sides, right? And the teacher's like, that is cool as heck. That is really ingenious. I'm like, oh, you haven't seen the best part. And then I pull out a can of lighter fluid and squirt it in the bottom of this little hole. And before she could say anything, I lit it on fire. Boom! This thing went off like a shotgun. And yeah, it blew a big old hole in the cellulite ceiling in the classroom. And everybody ducked and ran like, oh shit, he's blowing the place up. Well, I did get an A. I did get an A on the project, but my parents got a bill for the ceiling, of course.
Good job.
Now,
Good job.
back in the 60s, Tandy Corporation, which is Radio Shack basically, they would make these kits called 101 electronic circuits. And what it was just this big board. My grandma used to buy this stuff for me. It was a big board, and it had all these little springs, you know, down in this board. And then you had these little boxes over here which had all these electronic components. And they had kind of long leads on them. So you could take and, you know, your capacitors, resistors, transistors, whatever, you could take the little springs, bend them over, and you stick the lead in there, and you stick the other end in the other spring, right? And then you got this little book that would tell you how to build circuits. So you would take all these little components and you'd put them in these springs, and then you had these long wires, and they'd show you how and why to attach to this, to over here, and then you could make all kinds of cool stuff with it, right? Well, one of the things you were able to make was they gave you this little suction cup with a magnetic pickup on it, and you could put it on a phone, and whenever the phone was used, you could actually record everything on like the old cassette player, right? So yeah, and eventually I ended up wiring up the whole darn house, and I was only like 12 years old. I had microphones and speakers everywhere, or microphones everywhere, and I was down in my basement. I was always recording everything going on in the house, and including my sister's phone calls and things. And once my parents found those tapes and started listening to them, well, not only did I get in trouble, my sisters got in trouble, and then even some of my parents' friends and my aunt and uncles got in trouble because there was one under the table in the living room where they would play their card games and talk and say stuff about others when they would go to the bathroom. My parents were so pissed. They're like, you debug this house now. Right now, you debug this whole house. I want to make sure all of this house is debugged. Well, thank you for the gift, but you can't be doing that now. Okay, you guys, please no more gifts while I'm on stage. Okay? How can I do this without putting it on? Well, now it's stuck to my damn hand. Well, thanks for that. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Hi.
No move.
Okay, so anyways, ended up getting the whole house debugged. What was really funny was also, you guys probably never heard of a party phone line. Well, back then, a lot of the neighbors shared what they called a party line, which means sometimes if you picked up your phone to talk, you would hear the neighbors talking, and you would actually have to say, hey, excuse me, I got an emergency, or I need to call somebody. Can I have the phone line? Well, everybody would basically get charged evenly unless one house was actually making more calls than the others. Well, our house was always making more calls than the rest of them. And so my parents bought what they called a phone lock. Now, we had the dial phones, where you spin around, zip, 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 to make the damn call. So they bought this phone lock so that we couldn't make calls. Me and my sisters couldn't make calls until they came home and unlocked it. Well, I found out that actually the little receivers, when you picked up the phone, the receiver, if you went tap, that was 1, or 0, tap, 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 like Morse code, you could actually dial a number. You just had to do the same amount of taps that you needed to get that number. Well, then my parents get this bill, and they're like, what is going on here? There's no way all these calls are coming out of our house, because we got a darn lock on the phone. They're like, phone companies like, I don't know, but all we know is that it shows that all these calls are coming from your house. And, finally I had to admit that, there's a different way to actually dial without using the dial. Now, since I was so much in electronics and stuff, I had one of my grandfathers and an uncle. They were big into ham radio and CBs and stuff like that. And I'd do work for them, and they'd give me their old units, and then I would take them home, try to fix them up, get them running and everything. And so I ended up with quite this little station. But I couldn't get a good enough signal from where we were at. I mean, we were like in flat ground, right? And so to get a better signal, one day I went up onto my parents' roof, and I had built this custom antenna, and yes, I screwed it into the roof. Well, my dad came home, and he saw that thing on the roof, and he was like, are you kidding me, boy? Jeez, did you screwed that? Did you nail that or screw that in my roof? I said, I did a good job, Dad. I screwed it in there. He's like, did you use any sealant on the screws? I'm like, why? It's a roof. He's like, oh my, look, get up there, get that thing down off my damn roof, okay? Now I got to go up there and seal up the holes you made and everything so the damn roof doesn't leak. And I thought, well, I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. So then I decided, you know what? Next to the house, we had this big, huge cottonwood tree. I don't know if you know about cottonwood trees, but those things, on the average, they grow like 70 to 100 feet tall. And I thought, you know what? If I can get a powered antenna into the top of that tree, I could probably reach Las Vegas or the coast, right? So that's what I did. I climbed all the way up this damn tree, and I put that antenna up there, and you really couldn't see it because it was a cottonwood. And so I'm using my CBs, my ham radios, especially the CBs got me in trouble. evidently there were being complaints about somebody overpowering all the CBs within a 50-mile radius, and they couldn't do anything. Well, the FCC finally came to our house one day. I don't know how they tracked us down. They came to the house, they knocked on the door. They told my dad that if he didn't take it down, he was going to get fined. And he's like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So he calls me up there to the door, and he says, can you explain to me what these people are talking about? I'm like, oh yeah, I put a big antenna up in that huge cottonwood tree. He's like, you know they're ready to fine me money for that? Now you need to climb up that damn tree, just like climb up on the roof, get that damn antenna down before somebody ends up in jail, or I end up having to pay a bunch of damn money. Go do it, boy. Oh, I did it. All right. And then, oh man, there was like 7th grade. Whoa, what happened? Lost my curtain. Oh, now we're back. Now we're back. So anyways, I think it was like 7th grade. Okay. Joined shop class. And you know, everybody wants to make toilet paper holders or ducks or stupid stuff, whatever. Now this is funny. Actually, you heard about the old saying about the shop teacher with one hand. This is no lie. Our shop teacher's name was Mr. Franks, and he actually had a hook for one hand. No lie. So, anyways, I decided I wanted to build a foosball table. And so I told my dad, and so on Monday morning when we're supposed to bring in our own wood materials, he backs up to the door of the school with a whole bunch of wood in the back of this pickup truck. We start hauling it into the shop class, and the shop teacher's going like, oh my God, what are you building? And I go, I'm going to build me a foosball table. He's like, foosball table? I can't teach you how to build a foosball table. And my dad said, don't worry about it. He'll teach you. He'll teach you how to build a foosball table. And I did. I spent weeks on that thing, covered it in butcher block. It was the nicest foosball table you ever seen. Funny thing was, though, still got my butt in trouble with that thing, because once we got it home, I took one of the electric fence things to keep the cows in, and I attached it underneath the foosball table, and I ran wires to the handles on the other side, not my side, the other side, just to prank my friends. And so we'd be playing foosball, and next thing you know, they'd be like, what the? And then I'd get a phone call later from somebody's mom or dad going like, what is wrong with your kid? Dude, he just lit my son up with a foosball table. You really need to put a leash on that little bugger. I'm telling you, you got to put a leash on that little bugger, because he's a little out of control. And then I remember one time that see, you know, before we started class back in those days, everybody stood up, they played the national anthem, and everybody did the Pledge of Allegiance. Class didn't start until that happened. Well, so I snuck in one night, and I changed out the cassette tape for the Pledge of Allegiance for a Led Zeppelin song. So we're all waiting in class one day for the Pledge of Allegiance, and all of a sudden, here comes Led Zeppelin playing on the intercoms in all the rooms. Everybody's like, what in the world is going on here? And next thing you know, they pull the tape out, they make an announcement, sorry, we don't know what happened. Just do the Pledge of Allegiance and get on with it. We'll fix this later. What's funny was, I don't know, maybe a week later or so, I actually snuck into all the rooms after wrestling practice, and I got up in all the speakers, and I hooked a wire from each one of them and put them back in. So the next day we're all sitting around waiting for something, and nothing happened. And we're waiting, and we're waiting. I just got told I was too loud. And we're waiting. And pretty soon one of the maintenance man comes in, stands on a little ladder, gets up, pulls the cover off, and goes, "Yep, it's the same as the rest. It's been unplugged." And of course everybody looks right at me, and I'm like, "What? I never do anything. Why do you always suspect me?" There was one time, actually, there was this one teacher. Man, I used to disrupt this class so bad. "Hey, got to take that down. Whoever put that up, please take it down." Please. Thank you. So back what I was getting at. So there was this one teacher. He did history class. And, oh man, I was an extra pain in his butt. Seriously. I remember one time, you know those little low-hanging, you know, cellulite ceilings, right? They're just little panels laying down below everything. You know, and he left the room one day, and so me and a couple of my friends, we collected all the books, and we put them up in the ceiling above his desk. So he comes back, he goes sits down at his desk, and he looks up, and he realizes there are no books anywhere. And I'm like, he's pissed off. He stands up. Where in the heck is all the books? Well, we're looking up above him, and all of a sudden that ceiling starts to sag, and it starts to sag, and we're like, "Oh, shoot." And all of a sudden, boom, that ceiling breaks, and all those books come falling down on his head. And, of course, I go like, "Oh, there's your books right there." So, after that incident, he started, "Hey, dirty fries, please." So after that incident, he put a desk in the storage room across the hall. And so I would have to do all my studies by myself in this desk at the storage hall across the hall, locked in. So one day I'm over there, and there was these couple of girls that I used to get in trouble with all the time. They were like my best friends, you know, thicker than thieves. And so what I did was I got up in the ceiling one day, and I crawled across the beams because I heard the intercom go call him to the office. So I crawled across there, opened up one of those things, and told him, like, "Hey, jump on the desk, come here." And I picked him up one by one and got him back into the storage room, right? He comes back to the room. He doesn't even notice these two gals are missing, okay? And then when class is over, he comes across the hall, unlocked the door to let me out, and there's the three of us sitting there together, and he's like, "What is going on here? How did you guys get over here? What are you talking about? We're just sitting here, you know, studying." It's like, you know what, I've just about had enough of you and you two, and, oh. Yeah, it didn't take him long. I hate to say it, he quit shortly afterwards. But I think the one I did that was probably the worst was my smoke bomb incident. Okay. Now you got to remember, we're talking about back in the late '60s here. Okay. We had this girl would steal anything that wasn't nailed down. Just literally steal anything that wasn't nailed down. So I thought, I'm going to teach her a lesson one day, okay? So I take one of those little transistor radios, and I pull it apart, and I pull all the radio stuff out, and all I leave in it is the battery and the switch. And then I take a couple of those M80 cherry bombs, and I kind of shave them around to where they're square, and I fit them in the case. I tie them together, and I use one of those ST's rocket igniters, and I take that to the fuses, to the battery, to the switch. And my thought process was, I'm going to go into class, I want to set this down near the pencil sharpener, and as soon as that thieving little you-know-what comes in the room, she's going to spot it, she's going to take it, and then after she leaves class, she's going to try to turn this thing on, and it's going to scare the living daylights out of her, and maybe she'll quit trying to steal stuff from people. Well, sadly to say, it didn't work out that way. What really happened was she walked right by it and didn't notice it. And then the head cheerleader gets up, decides she's going to go sharpen her pencil. Cheeky, cheeky, cheeky. And then she looks down and she sees this, and I'm over there going, no, no, please, no, 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 no. She reaches down and turns it on, and all of a sudden, you see smoke bellowing out of this thing like crazy. Well, our math teacher at the time, little short guy, he freaks out. He runs over there and he kind of swats it on the floor, and he starts doing this soccer kick to get it out the door, down the hall, outside, and then pulls the fire alarm. The whole school gets evacuated. So we're all outside on the lawn, taking a break. I'm kind of laughing with my buddies about what just happened. And we've been out there like a half an hour and wondering, when are they going to figure out it's just a joke? Well, that's when the bomb squad from Denver shows up in their truck. And that's when I finally went, okay, this got a little out of hand here. I wasn't expecting the damn bomb squad from Denver. Oh, yeah, they come out. They assess the situation. They actually come out with like this little bucket thing, right? They pick this thing up with tongs and they throw it in there. They throw a cover on it and they go back in their truck. Then they come back out and they're just shaking their heads, telling the principal and all of them what they found. And who's the first person they look at? Me. They take me in the office, try to get me to admit that I did this, and I'm like, well, what the heck makes you think I did this? It's like, because of everybody in this school, you're like the only one who can and does stuff like this all the damn time. I was like, nope, wasn't me. So they call my mom. At work. She's at work. They tell her about the situation. So she goes back home. She goes down into my room. She takes a shoebox and she scoops everything off my desk there into this box, brings it in the principal's office, and of course the bomb squad's there. She throws it on the table. They go through this box and they're going, wow, this kid's got some really cool shit in here, man. And he's like, yep, that was used. And then, and the principal's looking and he's like, hey, wait a minute. Those are some of the covers and thermostats that have been missing from the high school. How did you get this? And I'm like, Mom, really? You turned me? She's like, I've always told you, if you're going to do bad, you're going to get punished, and I will turn you in. And yes, she did. I got suspended for that one. Yep, sure did. And that wasn't my last deal with fireworks, actually, because around that same time, actually, an illegal fireworks place started up in the basement of a bodega across from our street of the school. And so one day, me and some of my buddies, we decided, hey, we're going to go over there and buy a couple big licks of firecrackers, and we're gonna divide them up and share them, right? So we do. So on the way home, we're on the school bus. Now we have to cross this major rail crossing, which actually has some major Midwest or Western traffic in it. And so, of course, the school bus driver drives up. They open up the door, and they're supposed to listen for horns either way and stuff. Well, me and my buddies, we're in the back because we live miles away from each other. So we're dividing up all these black cats in these packets, right, and putting them into this hat so that we can grab our share before we get to our stop. Well, naturally, I thought, it'd be funny, since we're at the bus stop, let me just grab one, light it, and throw it out the window and scare the heck out of the bus driver. Well, it didn't go out the window when I threw it. It bounced off and went in the hat with all the rest of the loose black cats. And I just like, oh, shoot. And I just kicked it into the seat in front of me. Man, that bus driver floored it, just took off, went about 100 feet, slammed on the brakes, got up, went back there, screaming and hollered, grabbed me by the ear, didn't even ask who did it, I already knew, grabbed me by the ear, dragged me up to the front of the bus, kicked my butt out, and says, from now on, you're walking home. And I live 6.5 miles out of town. I'm like, well, that ain't fair. All right. Oh, I did. My parents made me actually walk to school and back for like about 2 weeks. It's a good thing I was a good runner. Make good time didn't bother me. I have one last story I want to tell you though. Okay. Now this is after I got my driver's license. Okay. Cruising town. Okay.
I'm just confused.
Me and my buddy and my javelin, we picked up this girl and we're cruising around Main Street. And she pulls out a doobie. Now I want to tell you guys this. I don't advocate kids until they at least get 21 or older to drink any alcohol or smoke any marijuana, okay? But I was a stupid young kid back then. So anyways, she pulls out this doobie, lights it up. Me and my friend are like, what? She's like, yeah, you want some? So she hands some to him, and he's like, yeah. And then he hands it to me, and next thing you know, we're cruising around in my hot rod. We're passing this thing back and forth. Well, evidently, she thought she had passed it to me and let go of it, and I didn't know she had given it to me. Well, the damn thing landed right here on my crotch, just right between my leg and my balls. And I'm driving around town, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, 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 oh! And man, I drive up on the curb and I slam on the brakes onto this person's lawn. There's a big picture window there, and by the way, it was our pastor's house. Not a good scene. So anyway, I jump out of the car. I rip down my pants and my underwear, and I'm trying to get this thing out of my pants, doing little dance, going like, oh my God. Well, next thing I know, I look up, and the whole family's looking out the big picture window at me out on the lawn going, okay, sorry about that. Whew, got back in the car and drove away. Well, of course, my parents got a call from the pastor saying, I think your kid's on drugs. And then he explains the situation about what happened. He goes, yeah, we're not sure what he was doing. I didn't call the cops on him because, we all know what he's about. But, yeah, he was definitely doing something weird. Yeah, he was. Oh, wait a minute. I have one more for you before I go. Because I'd been in so much trouble in this town, after I got out of the Navy, I went back to this town, and the first job I got was at the Ford dealership there in town. Now, this was in 1984, and that was when they first came out with those little Mustang SVOs, which were the 2.3-liter turbocharged, and them little buggers was fast. And some counties were actually bought them for cop cars because they were so fast and so good on gas. So one thing us mechanics were supposed to do back then is like whenever a car came in, and they gave it to you, you had to check out everything, make sure it worked, windows, windshield wipers, everything, and then you had to sign off with a piece of paper saying, yep, I checked everything. Well, one day this SVO came in. It just came back from the body shop where they had put the police, for our town, put the police stickers on the car, okay? It was all set up, ready to go. And so they asked me if I would mind driving it a couple blocks down the street to the police house. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I can do that, So I get in the car. I
People recent. I don't see Cat.
Because right
Just
as I
K-
joined,
I
he
invited
left.
him. I just invited him.
CAT.
Cat.
The hacker.
What's the at name?
I don't know.
You said it's who?
The
Cat?
last one I saw in here. Yep. Literally CAT. That's his display.
Here, let me.
I don't see him.
Where's Atla Corey?
Hello,
Where's
everybody.
Atla Corey?
We had a little
You sure it
incident.
wasn't you, Mason?
I don't know how much longer he had on the event, but he's coming back up here right now. Sorry for the event, y'all. Oh, can you not come up here?
I can't get back. I can't get
Oh,
back
wait,
on.
hold on. Let me move the thing. This was to keep people away. Okay, you can go back up now. Okay, go back up.
Well,
Sorry, you can go back up.
the show off without a hitch. Actually,
Oh, okay.
I don't think you guys did anything because when I got back to my dorm room, I had a warning.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew you had a warning.
I don't know what it was I said or did, but yeah, they booted me out and in my own show. Damn it! All right, hey you guys, I appreciate y'all coming out here for my first show in my new place. Okay, I hope you enjoyed what we had going on. All right.
Is this on YouTube?
Well, other people
wait, no,
like Miles and Miata filmed it, so yeah, it'll probably be on his YouTube page. I'll give you a link to it on my YouTube page, okay?
Oh, I bet.
All right, you guys. Again, Lilico True, Miles and Miata, Razor, Toasted, Selena, Kente, Joey Feast, Joey Fats, Weedman, Gamer, Pro 65. Thank you for coming and enjoying the night. I hope you all have a good evening. Like I always said, the old man's out here. He's off to do some other stupid shit, okay? Hope to see you in my next show. Bye.
The show. How do we take down the
Western?
event so people don't rejoin? Because override.
He's the only one who can end the event.
Oh, damn.
So
Okay.
anyone that joins is just gonna join an empty room.
Oh, yeah.
Do I go try to?
I wouldn't waste our time. I mean, if you join an empty room, I think it's a sign that no one's there.
Yeah,
I mean, you could also look at the
Yeah,
time the
but-
event started.
you joined just on time.
Oh, it was him?
Or
Yeah.
he joined like 30 minutes
Yeah.
early. I don't know why you're saying just on time. We had a completely different server.
Oh, yeah.
He was testing if he could
Yeah,
crash it.
we got here.
But it went good. I don't see. I think he set it for an hour because I don't know if he knows how to set up an event and change the
no,
time
he-
duration
It
of
didn't
it.
really crash, it just saw off a lot.